You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
We'll get into it, brother.
Yeah.
You sure you good?
I'm good, man.
Good with waters?
Oh, yeah. I'll drink that Dr. Pepper later.
All right. I see you put it at a distance.
Yeah, I'll think about it. See how long we talk.
I'll take it off of camera so Austin and them can't see it.
Austin thinks I should eat more.
Oh, really?
Austin's mad I'm too skinny. Oh, yeah. Austin's like,
what's your weight right now?
256, 258.
What does he want you at?
He didn't care, except just he jokes that I've lost a lot since I've been with him.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, I was 310 in January.
January?
Mm-hmm.
So you've lost
50 pounds.
50 pounds.
All fat.
Was it all just diet and exercise, or what did you change?
We're off the camera?
Oh, we're on right now.
We're on now?
Yeah, everything's recorded.
That's fine. All right, so I was fat as fuck 2018. And we can start earlier, but
I currently am.
I lost. This is where I was suspended in January 2018. So I'd been doing cocaine for several years and drinking. So
now, when you say you were suspended
for practicing law.
Practicing law.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this was 2018. How long had you been a lawyer before that?
2013.
Okay.
September 2013. Practiced on my own from then until December 2017. I got suspended January 2018. Stayed suspended until October 2019. Got my license back, and then worked as an associate with George Ruiz until April of 21. Partnered with a man in Orlando Kell from then until July, and then August of this year, I'm on my own again. But
man, that's been a hell of a trip.
Yeah.
So, just so people know,
yeah.
Your name's Beau Fiegel.
Beau Fiegel.
You're a divorce attorney?
Yes.
And you're one of the badasses over at Heavy Metal as well.
Yeah, one of the smaller badasses, yeah.
One of the smaller badasses. So what happened that you would get suspended? Because will the state suspend your license just for using, or did something happen through using?
Yeah, it was the second. If you read my suspensions, nothing says drugs. It says ignoring phone calls. It says ignoring clients, not facilitating duties, not returning money that was unused. So started using 13, 14. It got worse and worse. Everything that comes with drug addiction, you ignore everything else. I was in pretty good shape in like 2007, 2010. I had a little 4-pack and much smaller than I was. Oh man, I blew up. I think I was 340 pounds
really?
in 2017. Yeah. I mean, there's not many pictures of me because I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had what happens is you get a grievance. So someone complains to you to the bar, client, and then they send you a letter. Basically, you've been complained. They'll either dismiss it or they'll say there's merit to this. Respond. I just didn't respond. I didn't respond for years. So between 2015 and through 17, I had, I think, 3 that I took agreed like probations, but I still had my license. And then January 2018, I completely ignored one. Didn't even go to the hearing, and so they suspended me for 3 months.
Oh, I see.
That 3 months turned into 20 months.
Wow.
22 months as I got my life together. So yeah, so so like starting January 2018 is like me coming back from my health, like stop doing drug health, physical health, like try to get in shape, and then of course financial, emotional, everything that went with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ride's been pretty crazy, like way down and then way up over the last 5 years.
How big of a client base did you end up losing from 2013?
I lost everything. Well, I had nothing.
But I mean, how big was your client base at the time?
Not huge. All right. So I got licensed. Here, this is funny. I went to LSU at 18. I met Katie, my wife. We were 18. We met. We got married at 20.
Okay.
We were 20 years old. Don't do that. I love her. I don't regret anything. I love her. We're together still. The only tattoo I have is her name right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't ready for any of that. We had our first kid. We were 21. I was a junior in undergrad. Right out of the gate, I'm not doing well. I'm not ready for, you think marriage is great, hot little girl, and
it's not easy, man.
It is not.
Yeah, it is not easy.
So I got into several law schools. I picked St. Mary's here in San Antonio. Came here at 22. I got through law school, decent GPA, but I didn't apply anywhere. I didn't get any internships. I was working at the same time, trying to support them. We had our second kid, my second year of law school. did everything out of order. So I'm already kind of teetering, and my mental health is not doing well. Can't keep up with the pace, can't keep up with school. So get out in 2010. I graduate 2010. I failed the bar 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, you only get 5 chances.
No kidding.
And then you have to, I don't know if you have to apply for more or go to law school again. It's bad.
Yeah.
Passed it the 5th time. Great. So September of 2013, I can practice. Now, I don't have a job. I'm just practicing on my own. So I start taking criminal appointments, which don't pay anything. And that's probably an interesting topic about how bad that system actually is. I do a lot of trials, but I didn't pay anything, but I'm learning a lot. I got a lot of clients. I worked really hard on everything except like being successful. I don't know how to say this. Like if I had a case, I'd work really hard. Yeah. I worked really hard in court. I wasn't afraid to go to court. Got a really good reputation. People would like try to invest in me, and then I'd fuck it up.
Yeah.
So between 2013 and 17, I had a lot of opportunities that I squandered. I'd get clients and then squander those opportunities. And then of course, 2014 or 15, I don't remember when, got introduced to cocaine by a stripper named Cinnamon at All Stars.
That's awesome. Okay, first of all, that's terrible, but at the same time, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. You know, and
who wouldn't take coke from a girl named Cinnamon?
Yeah, I mean, maybe don't be there in the first place.
That's not a bad idea.
You know, and then of course, you know, it's not hard to find cocaine in San Antonio. And what's funny about that is it like fixed everything for like 3 or 4 months, because now it was my only vice, you know, so I would do that.
In what way do you think it fixed it? As far as your ability to keep up with the pace that you were under, or just getting along better at home now? Or?
It calmed everything down, right? Because it was like this, I mean, it's a huge dopamine release.
Yeah.
So everything feels good until it doesn't. And now you can't catch up. You can't, you know, if you ever do drugs like that, you'll never feel as good as the first time you did it.
Gotcha.
And then it just gets worse and worse. I got to a point, man, I was doing, if I could afford it, an 8-ball a night, and then I'd drink like a half handle of rum to go to sleep.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how I'm alive today.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
How was it? Just were you able to afford it, or were you maybe doing other things you might not should have to be able to afford it?
I was absolutely not able to afford it. Mm-hmm. I was late on my rent every month. We had our car repossessed. I could not pay myself anything. We were, to say check to check would underscore, we were broke all the time. Yeah, it was awful. My wife didn't know I was using. She just thought I was a loser.
Oh,
couldn't make money. So I was waiting tables and bartending at the same time I was practicing. Again, I just wouldn't ask for help. I wouldn't invest. I wouldn't apply anywhere. I just was like, I'll do my own thing, and then needed money, so I'd wait tables doing money. It was just a mess. I never tried, really. I'd try with a case, but I never tried to like be an attorney like with a business.
Yeah.
And caught up. So January, they took my license away, told me to go. And so it was funny, like, while it didn't say drugs, everyone knew.
Yeah.
So they're like, if you want your license back, go get this rehab, go do this. And of course, I'm like, I'm fine. I don't know. So
you think that that's kind of a courtesy they do for some attorneys where they don't necessarily put that in there because it gives you an opportunity to maybe come back, to bounce back without having that on your record?
So, I mean, it says, if you read the judgments, they say, like, you have to do A, B, and C, and the rehab stuff is in there.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
But the rules themselves that I broke, I don't even know if using illegal drugs is against professional rules.
Yeah.
But not responding to clients is against it. Taking client money to buy drugs would definitely be against the rules. So, the rules I broke are very formal, but the steps to get it back would make it very clear what the problem was.
Gotcha.
Why they gave me grace, I'll never know, and obviously I'm grateful for it today. So January 18 through July of 18, I'm half taking this serious. I go to a few AA meetings. I go to a few, they call it TLAP, Texas Lawyers Assistance Program. Mm-hmm. I meet some great people named Tom Kaiser, who's a recovering cocaine addict. He's like 70 now. He does a lot of work with attorneys. He's another attorney. My best friend now, Javier Guerra, who helped me later. And I had another hearing in July of 2018 for another grievance because I had them piled up. And they take 6, 8, 12 months to process. So we go, I don't bring a lawyer. I had just failed a drug test in my outpatient rehab like a month earlier, or like 3 weeks earlier, man. And the lawyer for they call it Commission for Lawyer Discipline, says I can offer you 4 more months of active. That's it. That's all they offer. I turned him down. So to be clear, I've been suspended January through July. I should have had my license back 3 months ago, but because I won't do what they tell me to, I can't get it back. He only wanted to punish me 4 more months, which is, I mean, pretty damn generous for the things I'd done. I turned him down. We go to the hearing, and they gave me 9 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I left that meeting. I left that hearing.
Are you currently, and I say current, not currently right now, but currently in our conversation, are you currently still using, or are you like me and we like to cut off our nose to spite our face? Like, what is making you turn down that 4 months and did you think you could beat it and get off of it now, or?
So you're asking why did I turn that down in July?
Yeah, because that does sound really generous.
I was so, I was monitored at the time. And so what I said was, like, I'm monitored. Whenever they clear me, why don't you just let them clear me? And if it's 4 months, great. If not, it was just ignorance and still pretty real denial of what my problem was. Yeah. I didn't want to admit it was drugs.
And you were still using at that time? Because you said you had just failed a test.
I was using less, but using.
Gotcha.
I hadn't committed to 12-step yet.
Gotcha.
I was going, but I hadn't committed. So I got on I leave. The lawyer for commission for lawyer discipline comes out. His name's George Smith, and I think it's worth naming because he was very, very nice. He leaves out. He goes, Beau, you've got like 3 or 4 more. I can work with you, but man, like, come on, man, help. So I get in my car. I'm sobbing like a child. And before I even left the parking lot, I called a man named Chris Collins, who was one of my AA meetings, and asked him to be my AA sponsor. And AA is good, depending who you ask, but for me, it's good for drugs and alcohol. And he will tell you that he was kind of expecting the call. I'd kind of been going, and he's like, all right, this kid needs to get his shit together. So I called him and started working steps with him. And at the same time, I called my friend Javier Guerra to help me with the legal side. So that July 2018 is when I was like, okay, I've got a real problem here. Yeah. And I started working 12 steps for real. So
you think that's when you kind of acknowledged, hey, this is a real issue and I need to do something
that was the day. Now, my last day I used was March 22nd, 2019. It's not okay to use not okay to use at all, but I'm saying the journey began July, whatever it was, 19th of 2018, where I'm like, okay, like, Beau, your life is collapsing. Like, you could be dead. You could be in jail. The fact that you even have a chance at a law license is insane. You get shit together, man. So for whatever reason, that broke. I started working the 12 steps, got through those. And then March 22nd, 2019, I was caught using by the employer I had at the time. And for some reason, that was finally just it. I was just like, I can't live like this anymore. I wasn't consistently using. Like, I would go 2 or 3 months and then not, and then hit, and just, I was like, I don't want this anymore. Yeah. So that was it. So March 22, 2019, no more, sober, clean since, and
good, man.
Life's a lot better.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. Let me ask you this, because you got a lot going on in that time frame. There's a lot on a dude that we take on without being necessarily asked to take on. You as a dude, you get the responsibility of being the provider, being a father. You got a kid at the time. It's a lot of stress. You were young. There's a lot going on that you may not have been prepared for, and so all this shit starts happening, right? It affects you professionally. It affects you. Even with passing the bar, taking it as many times as you did. There's a lot going on. Why do you think your wife stayed around? Because that's a lot for you to take on. That's a lot for another person to take on when, and maybe it's a question for her to answer, but, I'm trying to put myself in her shoes, watching this happening, and it's directly affecting her, but she doesn't really have an avenue to fix it. Yeah. It's like relying on you to fix our life. It's a lot on you too. But that's a lot on her because, people are depending on the dude, right?
I think if you watch any TV show, any movie, read any book, when people define love or they talk about it, it's very temporal. It's very quick, and it's very passion or lust or very emotion-based. Yeah. What I've learned through her is that's not really it. it's a commitment. And for her, it was lifelong the second she did it. She was more mature than me when we got married. She wanted kids immediately. Now, I wasn't ready. And that was, look, my first daughter's Abby. She's not a mistake.
Sure.
Again, you don't regret the past, right?
No.
You know, but at the same time, I would never advise anybody 21 to get there. But she made that choice, and she always stayed committed. And she was, so, I mean, a better picture of what love than I understood it to be at the time. And I don't know what gave her the faith that I would turn it around. I don't even know if she had it, to be honest. I think she just said, he's the father of my kids. I treat the kids, you know, I never treated the kids poorly in any way. I don't think I ever really treated her, like, in a direct way, never abusive or anything.
Right.
But certainly, like, we're not financially today where we could have been. And certainly when, you know, the water gets turned off, I have to ask my dad for help, you know.
Yeah.
The answer, I mean, I've asked her, and the answer was just, you know, I love you, I was committed, and just always believed you'd, you know, I never want a divorce. It never crossed her mind, is what she says.
That's, you know, that's humbling, I think, for a person to have somebody in their corner that committed to them.
Yeah.
You know, it really can be the kick in the shorts that somebody needs to go, I've been giving, and not that I'm saying this towards you, I'm saying this in general, but it's almost like sometimes we find ourselves receiving a love that we haven't earned yet. And that's very humbling, you know.
It is. I mean, from her.
I'm getting watery-eyed, man.
You're good. You know, from her, from the bar, from her parents. You know, my parents are always my cheerleaders, right? So, you know, I can do no wrong. But from her, you know, former clients actually were more grace than you'd imagine. You know, the last person to forgive me was probably me. But, you know, I don't have a good answer, man, except for human.
Yeah, sure.
You know, a lot of people, I like this phrase, you know, my friend Javier says, you know, thank God there's no justice. I think most people would say, or I don't know, a lot of people would say life's not fair. And when they say that, they mean, you know, if it was only fair, I'd have more, I'd have this. I'll tell you life's not fair because if it was, I'd be in jail right now.
Yeah.
Or dead. I certainly wouldn't be married to a beautiful woman with 4 kids, and I certainly wouldn't have a law license. I mean, you see me on Instagram now, you know, I'm throwing up big weights, I'm making decent money, I got my own practice. That's, you know, that I don't just, how to say this? I've earned it, but I don't deserve it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I very well could have had a very different life and a very different path. And whatever reason, I got lucky and blessed. And, you know, I try to live very grateful and, you know, to remember that every day.
What was the experience that you had that you think you were finally able to forgive yourself, or are you still working on that?
I went, I think it was 19. I had to do an intensive, like, mental health. I had to go through a lot of counseling and stuff. And so we went to this weekend long where it was like 8 patients and 2 therapists, like licensed professional therapists, LPCs, counselors, LPCs. And, I mean, it's really millennial, it sounds, but at the end of the day, you know, you're one of God's creatures and you deserve to be loved and you deserve to be forgiven. And so if you really believe that, we're all sinners anyway. No one's perfect. And honestly, man, I mean, what else is there? You know, I got people that rely on me. So if I wallow in, whether it's pity or just don't want to, I mean, dude, I was at a depression. I don't talk about it much, but I was at a depression point. I don't have guns in my house because I thought I'd turn them on myself. I thought about it. I said, I'll never be able to afford to I can't afford the bills right now. I'm never going to pay for my kids' college. I'm never going to buy them a car. I'm never going to pay for their weddings. You know, that's horrible. It's emasculating.
Sure.
But I can now. And so, you know, you can only, you know, I paid everyone back that I could, you know, and if I've missed people, you can hear me, hit me up. You know, I paid everyone, you know, the bar makes you pay people back for unused money. It was like 15, 20 grand.
Wow.
Which for me at the time was, oh my God.
It's a lot of money when you don't have it.
Yeah.
And you owe it. You know, when you're already in a deficit and then you've got that on top of it. It's, you know, it seems like it's too much to bear sometimes, I guess.
So February 2019, I'm still suspended. I'm on the edge of stop using. I've worked the steps. I'm very much in recovery now. I get a job with George Ruiz, and he's a lawyer, local family lawyer. And this dude's, you would love talking to him. He's cool as fuck. And his his office manager is named Candy, and they're not married, but they might as well be.
Yeah.
So they know everything about me. They know I'm a former lawyer, or not former, suspended lawyer. They let me work as a paralegal. And Candy's the one who saw me in March 22nd. And like, she fucking knew. Like, I mean, it's not hard to see. My eyes are dilated like crazy. I'm sniffing, and I do this thing with my jaw when I was using, right? And so she actually made me do a lot of work that day. And she goes, take a drug test. If you fail, you're fucking fired. So I drive. I go to Planet K. I can't even afford the damn fake pee. And I just called her like, all right, you're right. You got me. She goes, you're not fired, but you're not going to amount to shit. So I went back to the office. She asked for my phone. She goes, who are your dealers? And she texted each one, like, don't fucking deal this again. And that's not I could have found more, but that
Sure.
But the fact that they believed in me. So fast forward from February to October, I got my shit together more and more. They paid me a little more and more. And then September, those guys wrote, I don't remember the amount. It was a lot of money to the bar to get me reinstated. I paid them back after, in pieces, but they made me an associate. This girl watched me use cocaine, basically, and this guy, George, watched me use cocaine, and they made me an associate. So that belief made it
That's
easier for me to forgive and believe I'm worth it. When I was in AA, when I was going to AA meetings with the lawyer group, there's a man named Alan Dubois. He's since passed, but he was a former state bar president. He referred me a case like 6 months after I got my license back. Referred work to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess I can do this. So when people give you that chance to believe in yourself, you can start to move on and say, I'm worth something now.
Yeah.
What can I do? I can't fix the people that hurt. You can pay them back, but you can't take away that pain.
Sure.
These clients that paid me money and I didn't do their work and they had to go find it somewhere else. Those nights that they didn't know what was going on, I'll never fix that.
Yeah.
My wife, those times, I'll never fix that. But my kids, I can take care of them going forward. And so, if Christ can forgive you, if the bar can, if my wife can, eventually, you forgive yourself. That's special. So,
it's them giving you that opportunity to not fire you. That's a big deal, because they're seeing something in you that you may not see in yourself. You could potentially directly affect their business.
yeah.
And for them to still be able to put that aside, analyze that portion of it, put it aside, and say he's worth trying to help, says a lot about those people, man. Because it's
Really
so
does.
easy to tell you to hit the bricks. There's a 1,000 other people who would love to come and do that job that you're doing at the time, and for them to go, let's give this guy another shot. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I wish that I've never been put in that position to do something like that, but I hope that I have enough character to do what they did for you, because that's a big deal.
I've said it. I mean, I live a very charmed and blessed life of grace and second chances.
It's awesome.
And I'm don't hide it. There's no point.
Yeah.
I don't nothing better to say.
Yeah. Man, so things slowly start sorting themselves out. Things are falling in alignment for you. You're at a point where it's time to do the work, and you're doing that work. We're probably never done with what our tasks are in life, but it's like you're doing that work. You're paying people back. One of the hardest things to ever earn and to ever re-earn are people's trust. Do you feel like you're at a good point now where most people have that trust back in you, or do you feel like you're still trying to earn some of that from certain folks?
Honestly, a month after I got my license back, almost nobody treated me any different than any other lawyer.
That's awesome.
It was unbelievable. I would go to, and the other part of George's practice, which wasn't just their characters, they were so busy. I handled like 150 cases at a time, and they, not only trusted me with it, but now I'm physically in this courthouse every day. So, all the judges see, they may know, but they don't care. And to be honest, they just want to handle their cases in front of them. So all these other attorneys and all these judges and the clients, all they see is me working.
Yeah.
So, I get this crash course on how to practice, and then I'm just in the courtroom. So if I'm working hard and I'm prepared and I'm confident and diligent, it happens. So even a couple people that kind of made some snide remarks and stuff, even they don't give me anything now. And now I can be a little arrogant. Like, no one talks shit about me. So, I mean, if I'm being honest. So, I mean, and honestly, most people, what I've learned as I've gone through it is, while I got some pretty nasty lows, and maybe not everybody had a suspension with drug addiction, everybody's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And what I found is, because I'm open about it, people actually give me a lot of credit. Like, and I don't know, I struggle feeling like I deserve the credit for, getting back from a suspension that I very well earned. But at the same time, I appreciate that what they look at is someone who overcame something. I just want to be clear when I'm talking, like, I overcame my own fuck ups, so I don't want to feel like a lot of pride in that. But that's how they view me, as like, this guy's gone through real shit. And so it's easier to relate to him than maybe someone who hasn't had some other experience, some of those life experiences.
Well, I was talking to you earlier about my buddy Bob and some other folks, and we grew up in a small town, and back in a small town, you keep your secrets close to your chest. You don't share things. But one thing that in doing this that I've found is, like you said, everybody's got issues. Everybody's a little screwed up. And in sharing stories, it gives people an opportunity to say, I'm experiencing something similar, and I'm not the only. Because this is the thing, nobody's the only. You're not the first lawyer to do cocaine.
No.
But when it's your experience, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. They're not at your house trying to pay bills and keep your wife and your family happy and figuring out how you're going to do X, Y, and Z, or even study for the bar again. When you talk about taking it as many times as you have, that's, to me, that's character, right? Mm-hmm. Because I wouldn't have taken it that many times. I would have quit. I would have said, you know what? I'm not made for this. I made a bad choice studying for this or taking the college courses for this. That's a lot of times to take that friggin' test. But the fact that you took it till you passed it talks about your resiliency. Talks about how you've lost 50, 60 pounds here recently. How you've become so much stronger. It's almost like you've always kind of had this in you. It just was dormant. And it was dormant because of some of the actions you were taking, at a certain point in your life. But it's always been there, And now that you've knocked the dust off it and woke it up, it's you're hitting all these goals and these milestones that you and I are the same, probably, in the sense that we look back and go, man, if I hadn't have done X, Y, and Z, I could be so many miles down the road right now.
Yeah.
But it's important that we don't do that, because I'm terrible at that, man.
It's really hard not to.
It retards your growth because because you're constantly looking backwards.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be going forward, and if we just, but it just irks me at times where I sit there and go, man, if I hadn't done this, I would be there. And now that I've gotten older and I've a little more life experience, it helps me to be able to say, it just wasn't time. Everything happens in its time. Yeah. And man, I'm excited for you. I'm glad that this has turned around for you.
I think one of the main people that has quietly not got a lot of credit is my father-in-law, because I've got 2 daughters, and if I saw that, I mean, I don't know what people knew, but I mean, you can't. I mean, they may not know when I was doing cocaine, but they knew something was wrong. And I was an arrogant asshole, man. I mean, I was just didn't want to listen. He tried to give me, this guy is, he won't talk about it. He's self-made millionaire from working as an engineer, saving money, 401ks, investments. And I mean, they live well. He retired at like 57 and just owning life.
Yeah.
So this guy, when I finally started to try, he paid for that Dave Ramsey financial course.
Oh, yeah.
Paid for it, sent us. And then I finally was like, dude, I need to start. And this is how 12 steps work too, but I finally just started asking for help. I said, all right, man. And I actually sent him a list of my bills. Here, can you help me? And, he helped us financially some, but what the bigger help was, he just let me open up to him about where we were at. And he took time to track my progress paying off debt. So I had all these old credit cards. My credit score was shit. And he walked me through it. And then over the last 3 years, we're friends, like actual friend. So this guy who watched me treat his dog. I mean, I didn't treat her bad, but I mean,
Sure.
I didn't provide for them.
Right.
And then I grew up, and he's not someone who talks about personal stuff, but I mean, I made some comments about I wish I was further along in choices, and his response was God just took longer with you. But that his relationship,
It's a good dude, man.
yeah, that
really good dude.
his acceptance and approval, mean as much as frankly my parents and some others, where like if this guy can forgive me and this guy can, and not just forgive but invest, and now like we're friends, we talk, we make, and if I'm a little down on myself, he's not. I don't know how to say it. He just, we've switched from like me looking up to, and I still look up to him, but to being very like, I mean, we're both dads, and I've got a 17-year-old senior, you know what I mean? So like, and so I mean, I met him he was at this point in his life where I'm at now, you know what I mean? So he's, we're experiencing this again. So it's really cool. But his acceptance has made, as much a difference as anyone else's. So it's been pretty great.
I like to tell people, because sometimes I feel real cocky and sometimes I feel real humble. And like I told you earlier, I don't know which one's going to show up at times. But I always like to tell people how the way quality people treat you says a lot about your character. Yeah. And the fact that somebody like your father-in-law can invest in you, be patient with you, give you his daughter, and still maintain a relationship because he sees a quality in you that you may not have seen at the time yourself.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the person you are. The fact that somebody with his integrity, the life that he built for himself, I see a lot of people that I'm going to say this for lack of better words, but it's almost like he didn't take any shortcuts. He didn't screw around. Mm-hmm. He did what he was supposed to, and to see his son-in-law doing things that he never did through discipline and whatever else motivated him, to be able to still be patient enough means he's seeing something in you that was important and is at your core, And I think that's what's starting to show up now, to everybody else, is what he saw, because you're a different man today.
It's hard because I never saw it.
Yeah.
When I got my license back, you know what he did? He flew me to Baton Rouge to watch LSU play Arkansas.
No kidding.
And when I was sitting with my mother-in-law, she couldn't stop saying she was proud of me. Like, I just couldn't believe it, because I hated myself, man.
Yeah.
I fucking hated myself. Once I got my eyes opened in that July hearing in 2018, I mean, I did the steps. I was working, but man, it is a lot of self-loathing. It is hard to not look. I mean, I'm much better now, not looking back, but I've never really understood what they saw. I know it's easy. I'm not fishing for compliments.
No.
I'm saying,
you know what? I understand you because I'm a self-loather. I do it too, and there's times where I've got a lot of quirks, man. We talked about some earlier. But there's times where when I'm in a certain mood, a compliment feels like a slap to the face.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine, because I'm with you. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm feeling the same way, because I experience those feelings in the sense that I don't feel like I deserve a certain type of compliment from a certain type of person. Yeah. And it feels like a slap in the face. Did you experience that, or were you at a place already when you're hearing these compliments coming from them that you're determined to say, hey, you know what? I do deserve this. Yeah, I did do the work.
It took a long time. It just took, I'm just shocked at the grace people showed me. I don't know how else to articulate it. And I really hope and pray that that's how I act towards others. And I hope I carry that kind of grace and second chances. I think I do. I sure hope I do. I hope I don't ever forget what, be careful I say this, I want to say what I really am. I mean, I don't want to be like I'm pathetic or bad, but at the same time, like, the person that used client money to buy drugs, that ignored his wife, that was at a freaking strip club, and all the crap that goes on there. While I had kids at home and didn't have the money to pay bills when I'm throwing 20s at strippers, right? I'm still that person. I'm not that person today, but that was still me. I made those choices. I'll never forget what I came from, and what I was forgiven for. So I don't know. It's hard to take compliments, honestly, man. Even, I don't know, silly competition, a week ago, I'm sitting with Austin the next day, and, he's telling people I did great. Of course, I'm, like, kind of sheepish about it. Like, it's a struggle, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's funny, though, is I don't act like it. I act like a cocky asshole.
Oh, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Soulmates, man.
I'm kind of that's funny. I'm a dick in court, man. Yeah. Not in a mean, I'm very professional, but, like, if you're going to, like, absolutely no fear. And, but, like, in my core, I still, if I'm being really honest with myself, a lot of, I don't deserve this. Gabriel's like, how do you get up and work out in the morning? I'm like, you don't hate yourself enough. Like, that's how, I see the mirror and I hate what I look. I posted the picture today, and, like, I the third person in heavy metal to flip that fucking finger, and all I can see is my little belly popping out. And I hate myself for it.
Hey, that was impressive.
Yeah. Even though I impressed Austin, and all I'm worried about is I still look a little overweight. I'll win a case, and a judge will say nice things, and it was easier to win, and I kind of can feel good. But, like, when they start to say compliments, I kind of shy away.
You know what's funny, and you saying that and talking about how you're kind of maybe sometimes overconfident in your job. We kind of talked about some of my quirks earlier, but when I'm at my job, and now granted, I'm just plumbing designer and sits in a cubicle all damn day. But when I'm doing my job, I get super cocky, man. and when I sit in meetings and I know that I've done the research and I know that I've done the work and I know my shit, I get super cocky. And I don't know why. I shouldn't be. I should be more graceful toward other people. Yeah. But it's funny because it's almost like putting on a football uniform and now you're ready to go hit somebody. It's similar in that mentality where it's like, you know what, I'm fixing to go have a phone conversation, or I'm fixing to go talk to somebody, or we're fixing to do something, and I know my shit, and I'm gonna make sure they know I know my shit. So I can kind of see that. One thing that I wanted to tell you is, going back to my buddy Bob. Well, the first time we talked, I told Bob, and same thing for you, is I find it really interesting because I haven't had y'all's experiences, but for people that have had those experiences and have come out the other side, there's gotta be a little bit in you that you have to reflect on and say, I've been in some shit and I made it out, and I'm battle tested. I know that I'm capable of doing better. I know that I'm capable of working the steps and getting out of this. Now, from people that I've talked to before, they've always said, you're always a drug addict for the rest of your life. You can't go do a little bit of cocaine. You can't go do a little bit of meth. You can't do that stuff. But there's gotta be some confidence building when you sit back and you look at everything you've experienced, everything that you lived through, and you've made it out the other side, and you're not in jail. You're not dead. Your family still loves you. And it's like, that's got to be a confidence booster, man. It
is. Everybody's brains, I don't know if everybody's does. My brain, it's up and down. There are moments where I'm pretty damn happy and I'm pretty proud of my life. I walk in my office in Helotes, my name's on there. I'm buying a $5,000 sign to go on the top. My whole wing of the office, my name's everywhere. I got the little logo that I got now. I walk into heavy metal and people, once a week, hey man, you're the lawyer from there, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And knowing, not just drug stuff, but, I've been through a lot of court cases, and, nothing's gonna surprise me in a courtroom. You know what I mean? So that, it's not. I would assume this is similar for anyone. Like, life experience is life experience. You just go through stuff, and there's a reason 30, 40, 50-year-old men are better at stuff than 20-year-old. It just is, right? You know what I mean? They call it old man strength for a reason. Wisdom just comes with time.
You're building character. And it's unfortunate that it's unfortunate because I feel like we learn more through loss than we do through success, you know, and that's shitty, but at the same time, that's where it is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
I'm just
not
stubborn, maybe. I don't know, man.
and you know what, that's a good trait to have too. You know, like we talked about the bar thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken that many times, but the fact that you did and the fact that you worked through it and you earned it, I mean, it says a lot about your character, man.
It, yeah.
So now that you're running, do you have your own practice? Or you're still affiliated?
My
with?
own practice. So, I want to give credit because I don't know if he cares, but in 2021, Orlando Kell, another attorney, asked me to be his partner, which a step down for him and a huge step up for me. So that 2 years with him was pretty fantastic. And, you know, the things I learned at George's office, and then I learned a whole lot with Orlando, and then we made a mutual decision and made it part ways. And so July we stopped. And then, so August 1st of this year, I had the date off, but I'm in my own practice now.
That's
so
awesome.
Fiegel Law, PLC.
Out of Helotes?
Out of Helotes. San Antonio's strongest lawyer, that's me. So
Nice.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Divorce attorney. I talked to you a little bit about my buddy. I won't use his name. But I don't want you to give away too much information because people need to pay you for this, right?
Okay.
But when somebody is getting divorced, it's their first divorce. What can they expect? I mean, coming from a divorce attorney, and is there ever an opportunity for, or do you not intervene where you try and see if you guys can reconcile? Or is by the time they come to you, is it a wrap and they're ready to do paperwork?
I asked the question.
Okay.
I'm pretty clear. Like, you know, I asked, are we getting divorced? Like, is this where you're at? Are you actually there? Are you on the fence? And because if they're on the fence, I say, then I'm not really where you need to be. Yeah. Now, sometimes there are weird circumstances where there's, you know, maybe there's violence or there's some drugs, or, you know, something where like, okay, we got to have some separation. And the only way in Texas, we don't have legal separation. So you have to file the divorce, and then you do what are called temporary orders. And so you can do that, live in what are called temporary orders, where there's like custody orders, there's, you know, separation, whatever. And then, you know, if during that time, if it's made clear to me, like I want to do that to get myself safe or my kids safe, but we want to work at counseling, that's fine. But honestly, that's in 10 years, that's happened like once. Like I don't, if you're coming to me, I'm pretty clear. Like let's get through the process. You know, I want to meet what you want, if it's reasonable or within the realm of the law, and then do the best I can for you. But I mean, no, you're coming to me, we're getting divorced. Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of clear. Like I'm built to be pretty nasty and to be kind of an advocate. So I may not be the guy for the, here's funny. I was on like a Christian, you know, business list, and I got off pretty quick. Cause like, I don't mix real well with, and I mean, I'm Christian, but like, I don't mix real well with this, like, oh, it's God's plan. Like I hear you, but yeah. I'm here to win. So yeah. I mean, you know, I don't, look, I'm not unprofessional. I'm not, like deceiving anybody, but I'll use every damn rule and silly quirk there is in the law to win. Sure. You know, and I don't hide it from the judges. Yeah. You know, so yeah.
When a client comes to you, you know, we kind of talked about this earlier.
I'm gonna drink the big soda now.
Go for it, man.
Yeah.
We'll cover it up so Austin doesn't know it has the.
Again, I said this off camera. Austin thinks I'm too skinny and wants me to have a lot more calories. So.
You need to hang out with me. You'll put on some weight.
He's mad I'm not eating like 2 pounds of steak right now as we're talking. Man.
Oh, I'm gonna come from a guy's perspective because I've got my buddy in mind. I've known a lot of dudes that are solid dudes, and their immediate response to splitting up or getting divorced is she can have whatever she wants and I'll move out. How bad of a move is that for a guy, really, especially when you have children involved?
Kind of depends what you have.
Okay.
I mean, so, there's no nice way to say it. All right, so divorce is two different things. It's the kid case, the custody case. It's called a SAPSR, or suit affecting parent-child relationship, but we'll call it the custody case. And then there's the divorce, which is splitting assets and debts.
Oh, got you.
That's it. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. So, you're banging someone else, or your wife is. It actually doesn't move the needle a lot, except in specific circumstances. So if you really cut it down to that, we got two different questions going on. So give her everything. Well, one, is there anything to give?
Yeah.
If you own a house, is there any equity? If there's not, then all you're talking about is a debt.
Yeah.
So who cares? You almost always keep the vehicle, each vehicle you're in. The vehicles are almost never worth anything, because you're paying on them until they're worthless and then whatever. So who cares about those? So now we're down to what? What percentage of people actually have retirement accounts? Sadly, not many. So, so if there's $100,000 in retirements or businesses or something, well then, yeah, it's a really bad move. You can have everything. That's on the divorce side. The kid side, it's very different because it depends on what you want. Are you working 60 hours a week? Well, you're probably not having a custody conversation, right or wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody says men get punished in divorces. I'll tell you, no, adults get punished in custody cases because you can't give custody to someone who's not home to take care of the kids. And so that's where I think there are judges who have liens, male or female, but really what happens is, let's say my situation, and I love my wife, God forbid she splits, I'll be the guy, she can have everything.
Yeah.
But, she's earned it. We talked for a while, she's earned it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I work 60 hours a week, man. I'm really, Judge, I need 50-50. I don't have fucking time. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, if you've got a situation where you have a stay-at-home or a part-time working mother and a guy who's working 50 hours a week, I'm sorry, but what is a judge supposed to do?
Yeah.
It sounds funny, but
you want the kid to be in the place that they're going to have the most supervision, right?
Yeah, and so there. I will tell you this though, and I think it's worth it for in Texas. The presumed possession schedule is about 47% for the non-custodial parent. So losing custody, the only thing you're really losing is paying child support. So it's kind of what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
So summers are half and half, holidays are half and half, always. Outside of circumstances of abuse and shit like that. But the school time possession schedule, the non-custodial parent takes the first, third, and fifth weekends following Fridays. From that Friday after school all the way till school restarts the next week, whether that's Monday or Tuesday, and they get every Thursday night into Friday. So take all that and add it up, it's about 47% of the time.
Wow.
So it's kind of you're going to get a whole lot of time with the kids. If it's a loss, that's a loss. That's your worst day in court.
Yeah.
And then as far as decision making, the conservatorship, you're going to be joint, and you have joint decision making authority almost always. So, really it's harder on the helicopter Karens and the moms who think they're going to get all these rights and stuff. No, the courts are pretty leaning towards a lot of equity both ways. So now early in the process, to really answer your question.
So let's go, let's pause for a second. But I don't know the particulars of people's cases individually, but when a dude loses a lot of visitation rights, then that's because there's something negative on his end, right? Yeah. Okay. Now,
or he fucked up in court, right? He went without a lawyer and got the crap beat out of him, where it wasn't fair. But again, what's a judge supposed to do?
Yeah.
It's easy to complain about these judges, but at the end of the day, if you didn't go hire a lawyer and take a fight back to him, or you hired a lawyer who's too much of a bitch to stand up in court, that's the real problem I see a lot. Is a lawyer will just try to agree no matter what, and no.
It's funny. It was never done legally, but our little joke in our family is my dad had 5 kids with 3 different women, and he raised all the kids.
No shit.
Yeah. So my 3 older siblings, he had them since they were maybe 5, 6, 7. My other brother Vidal, he came to live with us in the 6th grade till he's still in town. And then he stayed with my mom. But the little joke was always that dad ended up raising all the kids, which was strange because typically, there'd be some sort of joint custody to it. But he ended up taking them and raising them. But how does the whole child support thing get broken up? Because I had a buddy of mine who was, I guess, they had to have been married, but I think he was paying child support for her. And it was just hey, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of the kids. Let me give you this lump sum of money. She felt it was not enough. Took him to court, and he ended up paying less.
That's funny.
So how does that typically get? Is it?
All right, everybody get ready to fall asleep. All right, so okay, so chapter 154 of the Family Code, literally. All right, so the presumption is that if you're the non-custodial, the other parent has primary, so you're paying support. And we'll talk about 50-50 in a minute. But the presumption is they apply the guideline child support calculation. So if it's one child, it's 20% of your gross. If it's two children, 25, 3, 30, up to 50. You can't go past 50. If you have another, so like if you have one child with this baby mama, but you got another child out there, it's reduced by, I thought it was 2.5%. It might be 2%, but you get a little reduction off that. And then there's ways to calculate against the medical insurance and stuff like that. But it's a math calculation. That's
so watch where you're dropping your sperm is what you're telling me.
Oh, bro, wrap it up.
Because that's
Forget
a lot of money.
Dude. It is. It can. Now it caps though. It caps at so 9,200 net a month is the cap against the calculation. So for one kid, the cap's 1,840. For two, it's 2,300. For three, it's 2,770. For four, it's 3,300. I know that because my wife threatened it as a, but that's the cap, and there's certain circumstances. Now, that's the presumed calculation. If you go to a family lawyer, here's my advertisement, everybody, and they tell you that's what child support's going to be, fucking fire them, okay? It's not what the code. It literally go to the next section, and it says factors to consider to deviate from guideline, which are all kinds of factors you could come up with to go up or down on child support. And there's 14 of them, and I don't remember off the top of my head. But you go to a judge and say, Judge, child support guideline would be X, but because of circumstances X, Y, and Z, it should be higher if I want more, or it should be lower if we want less. Yeah. And go argue for it. So you can do a lot to manipulate that number. If you're in a 50-50 possession schedule, excuse me, see, right? Just 3 sips, man.
Hey, that's those 23, what is it, little ingredients or whatever.
This isn't a protein?
No, it's a plum drink.
I'm getting to that age. Prune juice.
Prune juice?
Yeah. I forgot what I was talking about.
Oh, we're talking about child support.
Child support, yeah. If you're in a 50-50 possession, a lot of times what they'll do is calculate what yours would be, what the other person's would be, and then pay an offset or something like that. Okay. Yeah. I'll say this. You want a number because you don't want to get in a situation where a judge basically doesn't think you're paying anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you can get hit. But yeah, watch where you're dropping your sperm.
And what about, does Texas have, spousal support?
Not much.
Okay.
So yeah, spousal maintenance is the technical term.
Some of these women need to get to work, man.
I'll tell you what, there's the theme. You want real advice for women, especially if you're not, older. The requirements to get spousal maintenance are you are unable to meet your minimum reasonable needs. And they interpret minimum reasonable needs to be like shelter and food. Yeah. And I don't mean eat like me and you. I mean like shelter and food. Yeah. So I've seen spousal maintenance award for 6 months of $300 a month or some shit like that. I've got a case right now with a 30.
Oh, so do they put a timeline on it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's not
it's capped
for 10 years or something.
I think the cap, man. See, I should know, but it's I think the most you can get is 10 years, and it's not based on income. It's based on need from the other spouse. If they can prove they have the need, and they have to prove diligence in trying to work. And you have to be married a requisite amount of time. I think it's 10 years. That's why we write this shit down. But I mean, you got to prove you meet the requisite requirement, that you can't make it on your own without it. And if you're getting child support, good luck. I got a case now where we tried to mediate, and my guy, even though they're 50-50, is willing to pay the cap and child support for 3 kids, $27.60, whatever it is. And the other mom, who's 39, not disabled, has a degree, wants $2,500 extra in support. That's why we couldn't settle. And I'm like, wow. Bitch, what do you think you're gonna get? Go get a job. I'm sorry.
So is it rare to have child support and spousal support?
It's very rare. Okay. I mean, and again, it's just very circumstantial. But and again, if there is spousal support, it's very, very temporal and it's very, very short. Now there's a big distinction between temporary orders and final, because temporary orders, all the bills have to get paid. So a judge might eat a guy alive in temporary orders because you want to pay the mortgage, and if he moved out, we need to keep the marital estate intact. But once the divorce is final, and the assets are split and stuff, good luck. Yeah. Spousal maintenance is not where you want to hang your hat. Find it somewhere else. Find another way to get money out of the divorce. Let anybody do it.
Do the debts get split the same, or is it kind of a 50-50 thing?
Pretty much.
I met a guy a long time ago, and he talked about, and maybe he didn't hire the right lawyer or do the right stuff, but he was talking about how his wife had run up a bunch of credit card debt before they finalized their divorce, and he talked about him paying it all back. How does a debt get divvied up?
The short answer is if it happened prior to filing for the divorce, it should be community debt unless it's waste. So if you used a credit card to take your girlfriend to Vegas a few times, well, the court's going to hit that on you.
Okay.
But
so they itemize all this and they go through it all?
You can.
Okay.
Now, yeah, so here's the real lesson in divorce. Cost of litigation is the real thing here. So, you know what I mean? I'm $3.50 an hour. You don't want to pay me to go through a credit card statement to say he spent $15 at Starbucks on his girlfriend.
Gotcha.
Who fucking cares, right?
Yeah.
But
you'll do it, but it's going to cost you.
Oh, fine with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My kids need braces, so fine, whatever. But, at the end of the day, what are we really talking about?
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I've got, of getting more and more high asset divorces where, okay, actually I do need to itemize this stuff. And, you get some weird intellectual property or a lot of real estate investments where valuing these properties is hard. And, now we're doing some real work. But most of the time, man, it's just, you're splitting up $15,000 in credit card debt, $30,000 in equity in a house, and $15,000 in a retirement account, and paying child support.
Yeah.
Most of my job is having hard conversations with the client about the new reality.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess you play a little bit of therapist too with people as far as like giving them that reality. I mean, I would imagine, I've never been divorced, but people that I've seen that have gone through divorce, there's a lot that happens prior to getting to that point.
Yeah.
And even some of the people that I've known have had a difficult time realizing that it's ending. Even though they're already going through the process, the fact that this relationship is over it still hasn't hit. I mean, that's got to be a little heartbreaking, right?
Well, imagine it's not just the relationship, right? Your kids now go to a very different reality. I'm not judging. People need to get.
Sure.
I get it. But I mean, this would be one of the reasons my wife and I are still together. You asked earlier. I have a feeling one of her deep-seated answers is she didn't want to do that to her kids if she could make it when she's right. It's brutal on kids.
Yeah.
They got 2 houses now. They live 2 homes now. Now, again, I'm not judging people who do it, but that reality's hard. You got resentments towards this person you were intimate with. You said I do to. That's hard. And the other part is both of you are probably starting over financially. Most people get annihilated in divorces. It's hard enough to build up. I don't own a house yet because of my prior choices.
Sure.
Right? We're saving up for hopefully this summer. So if you're 30s and you own a home, you don't have much equity. You don't have, what's your retirement really look like? Unless you're my father-in-law who made good choices from day one.
Right.
You don't have shit. You get divorced at 35, 40, 45, and you start from square one. I mean, it's a big emotion, right? Your life is a big, hard restart. I haven't had to date in my 30s, but it looks pretty fucking miserable, man.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, so you're going through all that.
Wait till you're in your 40s, and all the hot ones that you thought were hot back in the day, they all of a sudden they're available again.
Well, that's happening to me, but I get to say bye. My girl stayed with me. I'm good. So, yeah. No, I'd say, yeah.
I think one thing that happens also, and you probably, I'm sure you've seen it. Do you come across, and maybe it's a rare thing, but do you come across a lot of people that look at what the divorce is going to do to them, and they decide, hey, we're going to stick together and we're not going to do this?
I've had it in consults. I mean, in consults, it'll happen some. Again, once they make the choice to call me, it's starting to get there. And unfortunately, a lot of the calls I get are abuse, drugs, this just rampant. I mean, people cheat. It's not okay, but there's cheating, and then there's like flaunting in the other person's face where it's like, dude, you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's all bad, but like there's some bad ones.
Have you had to turn anybody away because of, let's say they came to you, they want to hire you for their services, and they turn out to be a complete fucking dirtbag?
If they don't lie to me and they can pay me, I kind of don't care, man.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No.
I'm
just curious.
I'm a shark, man. I mean, my job is to help them, right? So if you don't lie to me, and we can have honest conversations about your goals, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna commit malpractice. Again, I'll play the game, and you can pay me. I'm down.
Yeah.
I won't turn them down for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll turn them down if they're unrealistic, if they won't communicate and they're dishonest. Like if they're dishonest with me.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm not gonna help them. If they're gonna commit perjury, I'm out. But I mean, if that makes sense, But as far as like if they're a piece of shit or not, dude, I'll be real. None of my clients are innocent.
Yeah.
I don't have innocent clients. Most 98% of people in divorces aren't innocent. I know that hurts everyone's feelings, but did they really give 100% in the relationship? Did they really? I mean, you sat there and complimented my wife. How many people would have bailed? And then they do. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, so I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It's funny. It's early in our marriage. Me and Nina sat down and we talked about, hey, maybe we need a little break from each other. And it was so funny because she pays the house payment, right? It's a big expense. And so we sat down and we wrote down all of our bills and how much we make and what we're taking home and who's paying what. And it was funny because it was a little reality check in. To her, I'm sending out a lot of money for the house.
Yeah.
It's the biggest expense. But she didn't see everything else that gets paid. So it was so funny because we sat down and we said, okay, well, if I give you these bills back and we do this, that, and the other, I think I was ending up making an extra or having an extra $600 a month or something like that. And so right away I was like, oh, this is awesome. She thought it was less awesome, and we ended up working out our differences.
Yeah.
But I know of there's a guy who makes a lot of money, and I'll tell you his name later on. But he got in some trouble for having an extramarital affair. And I was working for an engineering firm. We're redesigning the house that he lived in. And one thing that I always found funny was in the middle of this redesign, he got busted. And so it was going to be one of the biggest divorce settlements in the country. And we paused on the project. And, we get real catty, right? It's like a hair salon sometimes at work. Yeah. I wonder what's going on over there. Because we would go to the house all the time.
Yeah.
And, meet these people. And it was so funny because probably about 2 to 3 months into the issues they were having, all of a sudden the project was back on. I was like, okay. I thought there was a divorce happening, but okay. And we knew how they sorted this out because he went from having a massive gun and ammunition storage room to it turned into a woman's small day spa and exercise room. So what's funny is in hindsight for people like that have those kinds of assets, sometimes it's just easier to stay together, I guess.
Oh yeah, probably at any level. I mean, like I'm, pretty well, but God, I don't want to start over.
Yeah. What
Jeez.
is the divorce rate? I've heard like 50%. Is it about
No,
that?
I think it's over. I think it's like 60, man.
Really, that high?
Yeah, and I think after your first marriage, it like gets really high. Like people in second and third marriages, it's like even higher.
Well, they've already done it, so it's kind of like, wow.
it's amazing, Again, I struggle because I don't want to put people in that position. I mean, would anybody really have blamed Katie for leaving me? So I mean, I don't want to judge, but at the same time, like you'd probably in my heart of hearts be better if people did less. But
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of times we see, and this is just my ignorant observation, is I think a lot of times we see divorce as to me. I'm not going to say it's not necessary. I've got siblings that had several.
Yeah.
And in one aspect, I look at it and I go, hey, I understand the impact it's going to have on children, but at the same time, if being together creates a household that's a fucking trash garbage heap, how's that going to benefit the kids? Maybe separating, finding somebody else or doing your own thing, and now they can see mom's happy, now they can see dad's happy, even though maybe they weren't together happy. That to me is more beneficial to a kid than staying in a bad relationship. But at the same time, I think we also kind of go, screw it, divorce is always an option, let's do it. And I know a couple people that have gotten remarried, and
that's the funny one. Yeah, I mean, the only thing missing is like did we put in the work to try to make it work?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know any couples that are truly just super happy all the time. Katie and I are the best we've ever been.
Yeah.
But we have weeks where it just don't click. She'll never admit it's her fault. She's just not gonna listen to this. It's fine. No, I mean, she'll be snipey. Yeah. I'll be grumpy. I mean, dude, since the new business, I have struggled, man. Like I work later. I have been kind of an emotional roller coaster, and she's seen it, and it's a struggle. And so she's got to put up with my attitude and habits and whatever. And so yeah, we have our moments. But again, is the commitment there to each other, not just to the kids, but to each other. And what I really often see, and my clients might hate me for this, but I don't always see that. I see it as a relatively quick option. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate. Especially when we're sitting here joking about how bad the consequences really are.
Sure.
Just financially, emotionally, whatever, you try to work. You know, but hey man, I'll take your money. Follow me, man. You want to? I'll take it. Most of my, I mean, I get as many custody cases that have nothing to do with marriage anyway, so I get most of that anyway. So, yeah, so I don't care. I don't all do divorces, right? You know, you get a lot of people who aren't married have kids, so.
Oh yeah.
I mess with those cases.
Does Texas do like what is it, common law marriage? Is that a thing, or is that
so?
Just
it's hard.
Wives' tale.
So the term is informal marriage. So again, everybody get ready to fall asleep. So there's three elements.
This is important because I'd imagine there's a lot of people who are probably commonly law married.
No, they're not.
No?
So let's go. But it's important because they're not.
Okay.
You have to.
So I got a brother that paid a lot of money because he was supposedly common law married. But go ahead.
There's three elements you have to meet. The one everybody knows, the two everybody knows about are you have to cohabitate, live in the same place and smash. And then the second is you hold yourself out as married. So a lot of people will file their taxes together or tell people they're husband and wife.
Okay.
Here's the third element, though, the one everybody misses, and it's number one. You have to have an agreement that you are actually indeed married. So as opposed to...
How do you prove that, though?
Have fun. Text messages or pictures.
Okay.
Now it actually is hard. So that's the one that actually everyone misses. Now there is a certificate for informal marriage that you can fill out and put the date and give it to the clerk just like a marriage certificate.
Okay.
And so that's another way to prove it if people do that. I actually had a fun case where dude had three kids with a girl. They went through a custody case to the attorney general office. He was paying support. He had her on his HEB insurance. And so eventually HEB was going to drop him because he wasn't really married. So they did the certificate to lie to HEB to say they were married. This is like in 1997.
Yeah. And this was for insurance purposes.
Just for insurance, that's it. And I mean, it was kind of clear.
Yeah.
But they filed the document. I mean, it swears. They separate. My dude ends up sponsoring an immigrant to marry her here, go to the same clerk's office, and they issue him a marriage license. So he thought it was all fine.
Okay.
This woman, who's first mother of his kids, 10 years later, files for divorce. And we're like, dude, y'all were never married. We actually went to a jury trial, and even though he signed the document, I won. That's kind of funny. She got nothing. That was hilarious. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, but no, common law, informal marriage, not near as common as you think, and a lot harder to prove than you think.
Okay.
Now, what really the fun thing, and this is the dirty stuff, is I've pleaded it, meaning I petitioned for divorce in several cases where I know it's a pretty weak case, but what it does is it freezes the assets. And so now I've got all kinds of leverage because I might win that issue, I might not, and now I can squeeze the other guy dry.
Oh, so you're using that as leverage to, okay.
Yeah, and then I'll end up saying there's no marriage, but, I can plead for it.
Yeah.
I stopped the sale of a house one time with that and stuff like that. You can mess with them like that, so.
That's crazy. There's just so many different avenues, and I guess that's why, I'm a cocky idiot. So, I'm the guy that shows up without a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Because I just assume, I can figure everything out on the fly. But I guess that's the importance of it. And like you said, the majority of the time, your assets and your debt are probably pretty equivalent.
Yeah.
If you're not a complete idiot, you're going to split up time fairly reasonably between both spouses. But when you have larger assets and you have things of that nature, and you could potentially be facing somebody that wants more from you than what they probably should get. Yeah. You need a freaking lawyer.
You need a lawyer all the time, man. If they've got one, you need one. Yeah. Just period.
Yeah.
Just period. Here's the deal. I mean, it's not that the judges do me favors. It's not there. I'm friends with these people. Yeah. I go to their campaign events. I donate money. I practice next to them for a while. I see them weekly. They know who I am. They're going to believe what I say. I mean, again, they rule against me. It's not, but I'm sorry. There's no way you're gonna, if I'm representing Nina, you're gonna have fun against me because there's just no way to have that conversation. There's too much trust built up with me and them.
Yeah.
But you hire any other family lawyer, well, now it's pretty even. You know what I mean? Now it's now the real what's supposed to happen will happen. Yeah. But yeah, where the really bad results happen is when someone thought that they would talk to the judge.
I got you.
Yeah. Fun for me.
So how many cases can y'all do in a day? Is it one case per visit, or is it kind of similar to where you might go over 3 or 4 that are similar cases, and now we're going to sit in a courtroom, we're going to hammer 10 of these guys out?
So I mean, our system's in Bear is kind of weird, but it depends on my calendar just depends on what's set. So I mean, different motions are different lengths. You have some motions that are 5-10 minutes because we can't agree on one discovery issue, or whatever, or there's a very limited scope. If we're having a full-blown temp orders hearing or a full-blown trial, some of them are 2 or 3 hours, some of them are 2 or 3 days. It just depends on what evidence has to be presented. And so depending on that time frame, how many can I stack in a day? You know, I try not to stack more than 1 or 2, but I'm one person at my office, so I actually got in trouble Wednesday for having too many cases, and the presiding judge lectured me on having too many cases, and it was kind of funny. But
as let's say I leave Nina, and I have so many good reasons to do it, but you're my lawyer. Do I have to attend these hearings too, or are you my representative?
Well, most of the time. It depends on, I mean, anything that's, quote, evidentiary, meaning you could potentially be called. But like a motion to compel discovery, no. You know, a motion to substitute counsel, no. You know, a lot of motions are just lawyers talking. But like a lot of things are substantive. So if we're talking about who's going to get the house, it's evidence. We got to put witnesses on, including the parties.
Gotcha.
So, you know, there's another, by the way, expense. And you got to take off work.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was getting at, you know. Somebody like... because that's literally a full day, you know. And if this is a long, drawn out process, you know, let's say there's a lot of assets involved, there's a lot going on. I mean, you're not going to leave for the hour and come back to work. You know, you're going to sit somewhere, you're going to be there for several hours.
Let's make it worse. I can't guarantee you get heard the day it's set.
Really?
Really. So Bear County is as efficient as any other county in the state. But we have what's called a presiding system. So there's 14 elected district judges that can hear family cases. And then they have visiting judges that come in. Any given day, because some of them are off or some of them are doing jury trials and are tied up, you might have 8 to 10 judges that will hear every case on the docket. That docket could be 200 to 300 cases long. Wow. So imagine, all right? So you have an 8:30 docket, which is all like not necessarily shorter, but the non-evidentiary matters. A 9 o'clock docket, which is all the evidence stuff. And some of these are, you know, full-blown wars, 2, 3, 4, 5 hour announcements, meaning we all go to the same place in presiding. We all announce how long we need in our cases. And so the judge who's in presiding the presiding judge will start to assign those cases out to different judges. You know, they do the shorter ones, usually the shorter ones first, and then they try to fit in the longer ones. And so, you know, if you've got 10 5-hour announcements, half or more aren't getting out, and you have to reset. So your client had to come in, wait, pay you to be there, and then the judges just aren't available, and they get to reset and do it again.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
So the old saying, "It's cheaper to keep her," is not bullshit.
It is not bullshit. It is not. I mean, first of all, I mean, child support can hurt. It doesn't hurt. I will say this: it doesn't hurt as bad as men make it. I get a lot of, and the guys who pay less whine a lot more.
Yeah.
My guys who pay $1,800 a month don't whine at all. It's kind of funny, but anyway, leave that aside. Like, just shut the fuck up and pay your support. Like, oh my God, you can pay me $350 an hour.
Well, you know what else? You know what else I think a guy. Let's say we're going to put on the guys, but I think a lot of things that when people who have to pay child support forget is they get irritated because they feel that the person they're paying this to is going to misappropriate it, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's your fucking kid. You know,
kid, man, just
give them, take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I get that that's a lot of money coming out. I totally get that. My brother, before he passed away, he was paying a lot of child support. but it's your kid, man.
It's your kid.
Just fucking do it.
I joke with my wife, like, you know, I'd only pay. I mean, I think I'd probably pay like $5,500 a month between spousal.
Wow.
But yeah, if I'm being honest, but maybe but I mean, like, I'm like, you get all the money now. I actually win in this transaction.
That was my buddy too. You know, he was paying kind of, you know, in good graces, paying a lump sum to her. Yeah. You know, she thought she could get more, and it turned out to be less. You know. Yeah.
So I mean, again.
So even for a guy, yeah, I was gonna say even for a guy, you know, a guy that thinks, you know, I don't need to go to court. I'm gonna just be a man and handle my business. It might benefit you to go to court because you could be paying too much already.
At least get an attorney to tell you. I mean, I know that's very, you know, obviously beneficial to me. Say, come to me and let me pay me, but that peace of mind's got to be worth some money, man.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. You don't know the system. You don't know the judges, and just get some peace of mind that you're getting something in the ballpark of fair.
Yeah. You
know. And honestly, at this point in my career, I mean, most people come to me are pretty reasonable, and they don't mind taking under the chin a little bit to just make it go away. You know, keep it reasonable-ish. Make sure my kids taken care of. Give me my time with my kids, and make sure the distribution of assets is, again, in the ballpark of fair. Yeah. I don't care. Most people are like that. What's annoying is when the other attorney is being stupid and everyone's wasting money because we can't come to a reasonable agreement. But Whatever. That's what I paid for.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So what's a bad day at work for you? What are you seeing when or like you said, you've kind of seen it all. But what is a bad day for you in the sense of whether it's people you're dealing with or cases that you're having to see? What is something that you don't look forward to?
Just wasted time. If I got to go down there for 3 hours and I don't get sent out, and I try to multitask. I'm not great at it, but I certainly can't do a lot of substantive work if I'm physically at the courthouse. If I'm at the courthouse, I'd like for a case to get resolved. So if I got to spend, Wednesday, I spent all day in a hearing, and the end of the hearing was, and the judge made the right rulings, but she wanted more information here, she wanted us to come back, so we didn't really resolve anything. I mean, I billed the client, he paid me, great, but we didn't really get anything resolved. I've got to do the whole thing kind of over again, and that kind of just sucked, because I've got 80 emails unread at the office. I've got potentials I haven't called, and every time a potential calls, I'm like, would like to call them back.
Sure.
They get a chance to make money. Running the business is as much work as being a lawyer. So I, want to make sure those things are done. The website guys are a lot of work to keep up with, and so a bad day is just if it's wasted time.
Gotcha.
That sucks. Days at the office are freaking great because I can just get through the mountain of paperwork, get everything filed I need to, make sure things aren't missed, get orders written. But again, I make more money at the courthouse, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of both.
But I mean, there's a certain stress level to that too, right? So you're trying to make money, you're trying to be productive, but at the same time, like you said, if you spend a full day at court, and you come back, that's just more time that you've got to spend to catch up, to kind of maintain some sort of. You don't want to get buried under emails. You spend 2 days not really checking emails very well. You're probably in 50, 60, 100 emails. A bunch of them are a lot of BS. Some of them are legit. That's a lot of catching up to do. Yeah.
Again, I live a charmed life. I mean, I wouldn't trade it. I make very good money, but it's stressful. It's hard. It's you want to be, and I mean, I want to be really good at this. I want clients to get the absolute best version of me. So I that's where the stress happens. If I didn't care, it might be less stressful, but no, man, I want good reviews. I want good relationships. I want to be good at this. I want to go to court prepared. I want to win.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Well, I mean, even I would imagine something like what you do, where you have your own practice now. You're your own boss. Being successful in court is a direct reflection on you. Whether it went your way or not doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if something else was involved in the reason why you didn't win that case. It goes back to, hey, I hired this guy and it turned out shitty.
Yeah.
And now word of mouth is going to spread, because when they go, hey, you got divorced, who'd you use? Man, I used Joe Blow and it turned out to be a nightmare.
100%, man.
So you've got to be successful.
And let's be real about the cases that go to court. Most cases should settle. Most cases. The hard cases are marginal ones where the facts are kind of unclear. So if I'm going to court, there probably is a reason to go.
Yeah.
So I do want to win that.
Yeah.
Most of the time the facts kind of separate themselves, or we limit the issues to things that are on the fringes. But man, if I'm in there, there's a reason to be there. I mean, either the other side's unreasonable, my client's unreasonable, or it's just a marginal, we don't know what the outcome would be. And so in those instances, you want to win.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I win more than I lose, and I'm pretty good at this. But that comes from preparation. That comes from time with the client. The client's work makes a big deal. And by the way, hire a lawyer. You got to do the work for them, not prepare the outlines and stuff. But you've got to give them the information.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times the day before a hearing at 7:00 I'll get an email with information I've asked for 3 weeks. What do you want me to do, man? I'm not going back to the office. I mean, no disrespect, but I mean, I left the office at 7. I get an hour and a half with my 4-year-old. I'm done. I got up at 5. I went to heavy metal. I got to the courthouse. I got back to my office. I've been in there. I put in 12 hours of work. I'm not staying up till 1 because you couldn't email me till 7.
Well, it's important to maintain that discipline and structure in your life, because when you're doing something like what you're doing, I don't want to sound over the top, but every minute's important, right?
Yeah.
Because you're jamming in your health, you're jamming in your fitness, you're jamming in your career, you're jamming in your spousal duties, your fatherly duties in the course of a day. And you can't afford to fill it with bullshit. You know, I'm a fan of 90 Day Fiance, man. I doubt you have time to watch any TV. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's important that I think a lot of times people will go hire a lawyer and think, well, I hired him, he's going to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you still got to do your portion. You know, one thing, I was talking to the nurse lady a while back, and, you know, a lot of times we don't value your time. We don't value your time. When I talk to her, you know, people come into an emergency room, they're having an emergency, and you need to make it happen. You know, but in reality, you're a dude. You know, you're a dude with a certain mentality and a certain work ethic, and you've chosen a certain career, but you still got issues, you still got problems, you still got a family, you still have bills to pay. You know, I hate, even in my job, there's some people that like to work late.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that at this age. I used to when I was 25.
Right.
We'll work all night. You know, 47, no, I'll see you at 7:30 in the morning.
There you go.
You know, but you can't expect to send you an email at 7 and think you're going to jump on it immediately. Yeah. It's like that just doesn't jive, because once you start letting shit like that redirect your structured day, now things are going to start suffering.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the last thing that you want. So.
I will say, though, you can, as the professional, you can do things to set those boundaries, and 95% of the time, the clients actually tend to respect it.
Yeah.
You know, once I hope I'm never disrespectful, you know, but you know, I'll get a text like, hey, due respect, I'll be at the office at 8:30 tomorrow. Cool. Okay. I'm sorry. I mean, and most people really are pretty chill about
That's
it.
Good.
And I actually, but where I got in trouble was, you know, as I'm learning, and what I learned was, if I engaged with them, now they expect it.
Yeah.
You know, but if I'm polite, you know, and look, sometimes there are emergencies, and look, people pay me a lot. Pay me $5,000, $7,500. I'll do my best. But you're right. At the end of the day, man, I get only a little time with Max, my little one. You know, I got a senior who, you know, she might stay with us for a few more years. You know, one of my daughters in dance, one of my sons this guy. I'm like, I can't miss this shit. Yeah. You know, and again, I got a wife who stayed, who's beautiful, that I want to spend as much time with as I can. You know, there's only so much in the day. And then I appreciate you saying the health thing, because I wouldn't survive without, like, making the physical fitness a priority. Like, what keeps my mental health in check. So yeah, all of that goes together, right? You know, the diet, the workouts, you know, the only reason I can handle the psychosis of my job is because I start the morning lifting heavy shit, right? So that all makes it together.
Have you always been a morning person, or did that start through the gym?
I never minded the mornings. I mean, I can't. One, just physically working out at night, I just wasn't ever my thing. And then two, man, God, I feel so good through the day. And three, just I got kids at home. Like, so if I left work and went to the gym at 6, I mean, I wouldn't see my kids. Yeah. So it's just not a reality.
What time are you waking up in the morning?
Not that, man. 4:45 or 5.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
No.
And with Austin's program, I do 3 days a week. So 3, maybe 4, but usually 3.
That's awesome.
They're hard days. Yeah.
Well, you said you were there 3 hours today, right?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, it was 3 hours. Yeah.
How does your wife? I mean, obviously you've lost some weight, so she's excited about that. But how does she view your commitment to heavy metal and the competitions? Is she into it, or is it your gig and she's just kind of staying out of it?
My wife is a professional at checking my ego. Okay. So she no,
that might be every wife.
That might be every wife. No, you know what? Man, she is overwhelmingly supportive. If I'm communicative with her about what I want and planning, as long as I'm, you know, an engaged husband and father, as I freaking should be. I don't mean, sure. Man, I don't want to pat myself on the back at all. Yeah. So I mean, but you know, we do our best to communicate. Hey, here's the chores for the night. I mean, so the chores are basic, right? Cook, clean dinner. The 4-year-old needs to be dealt with for bed, and then a lot of driving around for the other kids. You know, I think we split that about 50-50 through the weekdays. And on the weekends, we plan their events. And if I can get around those but make sure I'm part of their lives, she's pretty, just do your thing, man. So the morning, she's very supportive that I'm not there to take kids to school. Go, you know, enjoy. And yeah, I'm telling her, like, it really helps mental health. And yeah, I'm much healthier. I don't think women care she pretty much like she didn't care about my parents. Like, real, I mean, my attitude behind my life and how I feel and my confidence is probably helpful for her, but she loved me as much at 340, at 310, and now at 260. You know, I got a couple abs popping. She didn't give a fuck. And let's be real. You know, she told me like, oh, that's not really abs. That's what she said. And she's like, look at Channing Tatum. I'm like, thanks, babe. Love you too. So that's fine. You know, but no, she's supportive, man. I can't say anything else.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I like the shit out of you, Beau. You know what? Let me ask you this. With everything that you've experienced, and now granted, you got a long life still to go.
I hope.
Are you happy? Are you as happy as you could be right now?
I think so, man.
Good.
I mean, I'm gonna be very careful with if I keep the discipline, you know, if I get up and lift, get up and work, keep my diet okay. I work the work hours, you know. You won't see me taking 4-hour lunches, you know. You go work till I get my job done, go home, put the work in. I mean, with your kids not work, but you get my point.
Sure.
Do your obligations there. I'm honestly pretty fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of my day, it's funny, man, because everybody's like, man, you say you don't have time to watch TV, but like, it doesn't appeal to me that much right now anymore. Like, I get a chance to do a job that I really started to love. I get a chance to be with my wife, who I love. I get a chance to be with my kids, who I love, and I get the chance to be a fucking athlete, which I never thought would be in my cards, man.
Yeah.
Like, I need to show you some sometime, but show you some pictures of me, like, in 2016, 17, and even last year. Like, and now I'm competing in open strongman competition. Like, I mean, I'm not Austin, but fuck, man. Like, that's really cool. Like,
yeah.
My life's great, to be honest with you, man.
You know, as a dude, I always go back to a dude because I feel like we get neglected a lot, even though we may not. But I feel like as a guy, we like to feel like, even in whatever aspect it is or whatever degree it is, we like to feel like we're fucking man. We like to feel like we're somebody that our kids can look up to, our wife can be proud of, our friends can enjoy being around, you know. And I think when there's times where we go through these peaks and valleys, I do, where I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
And it shows, you know, it comes across to people. They can tell. I don't hide it very well. But then there's times where I do feel like that fucking guy. And it's amazing how better my interactions are with people when I feel like I'm fucking the man. You know, yeah. and you don't have to be, you know, the strongest guy in the room or the fastest or the best looking, but when you're doing things that make you feel confident about yourself, and I think that's probably what it is. It's the self-confidence to where now you feel more available to others. Yeah. You know, you feel like you can contribute to somebody else now. You know, I'm not as concerned with doing something outside of what I'm already doing to make myself better, because I feel like I'm better now. Yeah, I'm already where I feel like I should be. Yeah. So now I can allocate more of my time and efforts to people around me. And as a dude, that feels good. We need to feel like we're the shit. You know, we need to feel like we're important. And when we feel that way, we behave that way. Yeah. And it only benefits the ones around us.
Well, you feel like a man. I don't know how else to say it. I know that's a
no. That's accurate, man.
You know, you know, I want to be careful with money because I know not everybody has these opportunities. But man, I bought my daughter a freaking car last year. Yeah. Paid cash. I know I can afford college. It won't be easy, but I can afford college for my kids now. Like, I'm not worried about bills. We're not rolling like I've got, you know, but like I'm talking about buying a house, and I'd be embarrassed to tell you the price of the house we're talking about. Like, those things. So now I've got time at home. I can take a weekend. Excuse me. My daughter's dance. God, I don't even remember. I want to talk about how much. But I can provide those things. So those things feel really good when at the end of the month you know, I can give my wife whatever she wants. You know, heavy metal needs sponsors, and I'm like, sign me up. You know, people need help. I can help them. I can take a case for less money. Yeah, it really does feel good to do that, and people look up. So I don't want to make it about money exclusively, but man, it helps because I know that a lot of right choices put me in this spot. And so, yeah, it really feels good. I'm excited. My daughter's at O'Connor High School, and they do the agriculture, raise animals and stuff. And so they have a show where they just give money to kids. They call it an auction, but they're just giving money. Yeah. I get to be in that. And I get to just give money away. Yeah. You know, and not a whole lot, but I mean, you know, $1,000. Like, I'm doing $1,000. Like, but, sure. You know, but kids who worked hard, I get to be someone like that, you know. Yeah. And like you said, maybe I should have been 10 years ago, but it happened. Sure. And, you know, this is Here, you know what? I want to give Austin some love because he connected us. This guy, a fucking pro. He invests in other people, like in other human beings. So I want to be like that kind of person.
Yeah.
You know, so it just takes time with others and gives them the support. The bar gave me a few chances when I got better to sponsor, to like be monitors for other people and stuff like that. So yeah, so when people get a chance to look up to you, other attorneys, my kids, I hope, their friends, you know, all that's pretty great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get a lot of love at the gym, and that's kind of funny to me. Like, I'm not that strong for heavy metal.
Well, you know, I think the atmosphere there is so strange to me because there's so many good people, and I've told Tim and Michelle before. I'm like, you guys, and I'll kind of reiterate what I said earlier, but I tell Tim and Michelle, I'm like, you guys are so lucky to be surrounded by such good people. But on the flip side of that, it's because you're good people that you're surrounded by such good people.
Yeah.
You know, it's very interesting. You know, I think when I was talking to Ricky, we talked about a goal. You know, going to a Golds, and Golds has a purpose and a reason for existing. But you don't have that community. You don't have that. You know, hey, it's strange to use the word family because I think it gets played out.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, it's different.
So I go in the mornings, and I tell you that because a lot of the guys are these night guys, and apparently this night is just amazing, and I believe it. You know, you get the beasts like Austin, Nick, and Josh who are just like, oh my God, these animals. You get some cool guys, but I'll go to the morning, and I'll have, you know, these girls training, and they're training for very different goals. These clients come in for weight loss, for, you know, whatever, you know, lose, you know, fat or just general strength, you know, very different kind of part of their fitness journey than these pro athletes that are there at night. And even they are like, I'll hit a big deadlift and you can hear them cheering in the background. You can hear, you know, them getting, they're cool as hell. And again, so the energy's even there from across different sports, across different goals. And yeah, it's just cool. But I think I mean, look, I lost a lot of weight this year. I put on a lot of strength, and I want to share it. I want people to feel that way. I want people to feel that the way I feel today.
Yeah.
You know, Austin, I would imagine, you know, went from, you know, a little bit of a fat football player to a fucking pro. Nick went from a, you know, strongish, skinny dude to a pro. All these stories are really similar. And what's cool is they want people to be successful.
Yeah.
And everybody there has progressed, and everybody wants to see people feel that, have that experience of finding success, and you can just see it, you know. Who wouldn't want to be around that energy? I don't know what else to say, man. You know, I mean, I'm the best version of myself, and that it translates everywhere else. You know, if I'm going to work my ass off here, I'm probably going to work my ass off everywhere else in my day. So I love it, man. I really do.
I love the video you posted. I may have been yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, but you were moving sandbags, and there's a little baby in a playpen cheering you on. And it's funny because that is a perfect example of what that place is.
It is. That's
you know,
really funny. Yeah.
It's so cool because here you are moving these heavy sandbags, you're working your ass off, and there's a baby in a playpen cheering you on.
It was awesome.
I saw that and I was like, that is the greatest thing I've seen in a long time. But that's that place in a nutshell, you know.
It is, man.
So,
yeah.
Well, I tell you what, man, where can people find you? What's your website, your Instagram?
Instagram's at SA Strong Lawyer. Website is divorcelawyer.sa.com. Facebook, just look up my name. And yeah, man, Helotes, 127. I don't remember the address, but I'm in Helotes, so I'm not hard to find.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with folks?
No, thank you for having me on, man. You know, thank you for taking so many good people from the community. I know you do a lot of the nonprofits and giving them exposure and stuff like that. I appreciate that. I think more of that needs to happen. And thanks for giving me a platform. And thanks for all the likes on Instagram, man. I think you grew my feed like 50 people, so I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Well, I tell you what, you know, I love seeing. It's funny because I see a lot of people that on Instagram, particularly, where they don't follow very many people, and you know, part of me is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of strange. I follow a lot of people because there's so many interesting people, and and like the podcast, you know, and I told you earlier, it's an opportunity for me to learn from people who live these experiences.
Yeah.
You know, Instagram is almost that too. You know, you're seeing people do things or their side hustles or their businesses, and it's so interesting. And to me, it's a network thing, right? And it's a matter of just, you know, hey, share your stuff, share people's stuff.
I know there's a lot of inauthenticity. I know there's a lot of like, but if you can see through it, honestly, and especially like the guys we like at heavy metal, and then the tree that comes from there, and like these powerlifting or strongman communities, or even the CrossFit and bodybuilding, not all of it's bullshit. Like a lot of it is real progress, and people really want to see others succeed. So, and again, like what did you say earlier? It's like a photo album of, you know, your life. And I kind of want to share mine right now, if I'm being honest. No. You know, with my kids and things with the sport. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to share it. So, yeah.
I'm glad you do, man. I'll keep following you.
Same, man.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.